In this video, I'm going to show you how you can install e-commerce tracking on your ThriveCart checkout pages. All and more coming up. Hey there, Measure Geeks, Julian here, back with another video for you. Today, I want to talk about ThriveCart and how you can install e-commerce tracking on your checkout pages. Now, ThriveCart is a checkout builder, just like Samcart or Sendal or Gumroad, but it's actually the checkout system that we also use at measureschool.com, as it's very easy to set up. I'm generally quite satisfied with the product, and of course, I have built my custom tracking into this platform as well, as I want to track e-commerce tracking and send my data on to various pixels like AdWords or the Facebook pixel. So today I want to show you how you can set up the same tracking on your ThriveCart checkout pages. So you will have enhanced e-commerce tracking and can send on your conversion data to your AdWords conversion tracking or your Facebook pixel. Sounds like a plan? Well, we got lots to cover, so let's get started.
All right, before we get started, let's take a look at what you can expect by implementing this tracking onto your ThriveCart pages. So here I'm on a ThriveCart checkout page. And as you might know, on ThriveCart itself, you can build in a lot of functionality to sell a product, but also add certain bump offers and upsells and downsells to your checkout flow. Now, the tracking we are going to implement today will track the view of such offers and then ultimately also the buy. So every time you enter such a checkout page, we are sending information over to Google Analytics with the enhanced e-commerce tracking via an event. That is true for every checkout page, like this first checkout page, like this upsell page here, or this downsell page. And of course also the purchase page at the end with the order amount. All of this will be sent over to Google Analytics via an event call, and you'll be able to see this later on in your conversion reports. Under e-commerce, we have our sales performance report where we see the different orders and how much revenue they generated. Plus in the product performance report, you will see the conversion rate per product, because we are measuring the view of the product and then also the purchase in the end. Now, this is by no means the full enhanced e-commerce tracking. We don't have any shopping behavior or checkout behavior reports really filled. Unfortunately, what is also not trackable with ThriveCart at least are the usage of coupon codes. So that's one downside of the shopping system in combination with Google Analytics. But other than that, we get some really nice reports. I have also included a setup for conversion tracking for our Google Ads conversion tracking and our Facebook pixel. So let's get started implementing this into our ThriveCart checkout pages. So here we are in the backend of our ThriveCart checkout pages, and I would recommend before you get started to set up your products completely. That means the main product that you're selling, the upsells and the downsells, and so that all the funnels are already configured. Because some of the fields will actually only appear if you have your downsells already configured, and we don't want to miss anything. So set them up beforehand and we can continue implementing our tracking. Now, for each product that you are selling as the main product, you will need to set up these tracking steps in order to track the whole funnel. You will not need to do this for the upsells and the downsells. So let's go ahead here with our first product. I'm going to go to the edit button, and typically you can find all the configurations for the tracking codes in the checkout tab under tracking right here. And here is one configuration that you need to tick, which is the custom tracking code option. Now, this might look a little bit different than from what I have set up, because it really depends what kind of different payment plans you have. Nonetheless, you will always have a all pages section, a checkout page section, and purchasing of the main product and bump offer section. The first step that we need to take care of is to install Google Tag Manager. So let's go over to Google Tag Manager. I trust that you have already set up an account here. And in order to get our Google Tag Manager container snippet, we can go into the admin section or just click on our container ID up here. We'll get our two codes. Now, one code here is reserved for the head tag. This is the more important one. And then we have one for the body section, which is reserved for users who don't have JavaScript enabled. Unfortunately, with ThriveCart, we only have the option to paste our codes in the head section. So for our implementation, we will only use this first code right here, copy it, go back to ThriveCarts, and here we're going to paste our code in to install Google Tag Manager on all pages. Let's try this out before we continue. Let's save this and go to our URL right here. And now in Tag Manager itself, let's enter the preview and debug mode, which will put our browser into a special mode. And if Google Tag Manager is installed correctly and we reload here, we should see our Google Tag Manager preview window that will let us know which tags have fired on our pages. So now we have Google Tag Manager installed, hopefully on all pages. We could do a little bit of a test here and see if it's also on the checkout pages. Let's do this really quickly. It's on this upsell page. Let's see if it's on the downsell page. Yes, on the downsell page as well. And on our order confirm page, it's installed as well. The next step would be to install our data layers into this checkout tracking section right here. Now I've prepared the data layer as we can pull out certain values from the information that ThriveCart gives us on this thank you page, for example. The way to do this is JavaScript. So just to demonstrate, I'll open up the developer tools, go into the JavaScript console, and there's an object called _thrive_order. And this is a JavaScript object that is on every order success or thank you page, where we have all the information like the invoice ID, the products that were bought, and the total available right in this JavaScript object. It just needs to be passed in to the format that Google Tag Manager expects, which is the data layer. And I have prepared a little bit of JavaScript for you. I will link this up down below. These are all the tracking codes that you need to install. So for the all pages tracking code, we have already installed our Google Tag Manager container snippet. We will copy this JavaScript right here, go back to ThriveCart and put this underneath our tracking code, underneath our container snippet. Then we have another section for our ThriveCart checkout pages. So let's copy that and put this into this checkout page section. And last but not least, we have a ThriveCart purchase code. This needs to be implemented on all payment plans and not the bump offer. So let's copy this and I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. If you have multiple payment plans, you probably have two form fields right here. And we're gonna paste exactly the same code into both of those and not into this bump offer field. This will actually stay completely empty. Now there's an option here to only run these codes for the first time the customer gets to the success page. This is an option that I would tick in order for your conversions not to be counted double once the user reloads the page, for example. So now that we have these JavaScript data layers installed, let's try them out. Let's save this again. And let's go back to our page here and see what information gets pushed into the data layer now. We already see a new event here called checkout. Let's click on that and go to the data layer. And here we can see that there is detailed information being pushed into the data layer. We have it now correctly formatted in the enhanced e-commerce tracking data layer. So it's ready to be picked up by Google Analytics. But let's go to the next step here. We are on the upsell page, and here we have a new event called upsell, and the data layer is also filled with exactly that information that we would need to feed to Google Analytics. Let's not buy this and actually go to the downsell. Now we get to the downsell, and again here we have a new event called downsell with the data layer filled with this downsell product. Let's buy this. And we get to our success page. We have now bought the main product, the bump offer, and the downsell, and not the upsell. And there's a new event in the data layer called purchase. And the data layer now looks like this. We have our products in here that we have bought, our revenue, our ID. And this, by the way, corresponds to the invoice ID that you can also search for inside of ThriveCart. Now I haven't configured any tax or shipping amounts as these are digital products, but those would also be filled if you have them configured correctly. As mentioned, discount and coupon will always stay empty unless you change this around somehow, because currently we cannot pull the information about the coupon into our data layer, unfortunately. Now that we have all the information that we would need for enhanced e-commerce tracking in the data layer and it's formatted correctly, let's set up our Google Analytics container so we can actually send that information on to Google Analytics or Facebook. For this, I have prepared for you a container that makes it a bit easier to set this up. Also here under this link at the bottom, we have a container download. You can go to the raw section here and then you get the JSON, which you can download with Control S or Command S. Just press the key combination and download, not as a text file, but as a .json. Let's download this. I want to use .json as the file extension. And we're going to go ahead and go to our admin here and then import container. And we choose exactly our container file. And we choose an existing workspace. And you can choose merge if you are not sure that this will override anything. I would always go with merge and then rename if there are any conflicting tags. Go to confirm. Since our container is empty, I'm pretty sure now we should have no conflicts here. And you see we have already installed tags here, the Facebook tag, the Google Analytics tags, and Google Ads conversion tracking. As variables, we have simply our Google Analytics container, our Google Analytics settings variable. Now here you actually need to go in and change this around for your Google Analytics code that you want to send this to. So go to your admin section in Google Analytics and find out your tracking code. Up here we have our tracking ID, which we would need to copy and change around in this field. I'm also going to change the name here. Let's save this. And now it will be all sent to our Google Analytics account. I have also set up some common variables, the revenue variable and the transaction ID variable, if you want to use this in any other circumstances or any other conversion codes. Now let's take a look at the configurations of the tags itself. We have a Google Analytics page view tag, which simply sends our page view information over to Google Analytics. This is a common one and pretty much self-explanatory, but I have an extra one which sends our enhanced e-commerce tracking conversion data over, and it simply fires on these custom events that I have set up. So the checkout, the upsell, the downsell, and the purchase event. Now every time these events happen in the data layer, we would have an event fire with the category enhanced e-commerce, and the event would be filled into the action field, so purchase, upsell, downsell, and so on. And then we have filled out the override settings for our Google Analytics settings variable and have ticked down here the e-commerce information. So every time this tag fires, there should be e-commerce information available, and that's why we want to transfer this over and use the data layer for this. So let's try out our tracking right here. We're going to refresh our preview and debug mode, go back to our page. We would need to have our beginning page here. And we are here on the main page, and our checkout event fires, and with it our event enhanced e-commerce tracking should also be sent off. Now you see here in the tag assistant that Google Tag Manager throws a warning that our snippet is installed inside of another div. In practice, this shouldn't make a big difference, and you can ignore this warning as it's mainly a compatibility feature for older browsers, especially in Internet Explorer. Our tags still fire fine, so we have here our Google Analytics tag with our page view request obviously sent, and then our event enhanced e-commerce tracking and the action checkout. So it was transferred over from this part. Now in the background, what happens is that all the information that is available in the data layer is now sent on to Google Analytics. We can check this going into our DevTools. So again, I'm going to go back to our DevTools here. And then in the console, we can either look at the output of an extension called the GA debugger, which is turned on right here, or Another extension that I like is the GTM GA debugger that you can install to your browser. And once we reload this, it will tell us exactly that right here an enhanced e-commerce tracking was sent over and the product details that were received by Google Analytics. At the same time, you should be able to see inside of your real-time reporting a new event. Now, since this is non-interaction hit true, you would see it actually here under events last 30 minutes. And here we can see our enhanced e-commerce checkout just fired. This will not give us information about the enhanced e-commerce tracking, but at least this information was received. And we would be able to see this later on in our conversion reports under e-commerce, and then under product performance, we should have our numbers filled. But this usually takes anything between a few minutes to 48 hours. So let's check back later. Let's go further through our flow here. Fill this out again. Now on the upsell page, we have an event called upsell. Our enhanced e-commerce tracking event fires again, and the information that gets sent over, as we can see it here in the GA debugger, is the upsell information. Also in our GTM GA debugger, we should be able to see it right here. We have our information available, and this should be also true if you go to the downsell. So again, our enhanced e-commerce tracking fired inside of our GTM GA debugger. If we reload this, we also see enhanced e-commerce tracking with our GTM guide ebook that is now seen or offered to the user. Now, only if the same information is then sent over on the thank you page, on the order success page, Google Analytics would actually know that the user has bought this product and can calculate the conversion rate of it. So here we are now on our purchase page, our purchase event fired, and this time our enhanced e-commerce tracking again fired with the information, this time in a GA debugger. Right here, all the different products that we have sent over with the different prices, and also our transaction ID plus our revenue. Where is it? Here. So this information got now sent over to Google Analytics. We have the order ID right here. Can copy it. So let's just quickly check up in Google Analytics. First of all, if our event was received. So we had our checkout event and our downsell, upsell, and now our purchase event as well. And if we are lucky, we should be able to see this already in our enhanced e-commerce reporting here under the sales performance. Let's go to the right date, today. And what was our ID? 2437. Here we go. So we can see here 407 was transferred correctly, and our different products that we have bought as well. So this should match up pretty nicely, and we have everything stored in Google Analytics now. At the same time, as you have just seen, we are also sending over a Facebook event right here. Now we get an error here because this is actually not a correct ID that I'm sending over, but the purchase information should be sent over correctly. We are sending here the value of the order, and we are also sending a request to the Google Analytics conversion tracking. So here we have our conversion ID, which you would need to fill out in the actual tag. That's something you will need to change, and our conversion value as well. We are actually also sending over the conversion or the transaction ID right here, so that they will be deduplicated if they're fired twice. So overall, this is now a complete implementation of the most important conversion codes like the Facebook and Google Ads, Pixel, and enhanced e-commerce tracking for a ThriveCart checkout pages. Now I've tested this with other products such as physical products as well, and it works just fine. You just need to install the codes that I gave you one time in these different checkout pages that you find under products. You don't have to install them here under the upsells or the downsell section or within the funnel itself, although there are custom tracking scripts that you could install, but here is something you don't have to necessarily touch. Everything that I showed you today needs to be installed in this tracking section under checkout and then here tracking. Don't forget, if you want to take this live, to all your users, you need to publish this as a version. So we'll submit a new version here and publish this so it'll go live to all your users.
All right, so there you have it. This is how you can install your e-commerce tracking on your ThriveCart checkout pages. Was I missing anything? Is there any more questions? Please leave me a comment down below if you have any. I always love to hear from you. And if you haven't yet, then maybe consider subscribing to our channel right over there, because we bring you new videos just like this one every week. Now, my name is Julian. See you in the next one.